I came in right before Total Divas when it wasn't popular to say that you wanted to be a diva. I was being transitioned into this hot mess character, but we didn't know what it was gonna be. Smear your makeup more, be crazier, cry. And I'm like, like everything that I have ever known to be wrestling, the sexiness, the beauty, this is not what I wanna do. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't have those women supporting me. There's something different about a woman supporting me because they know what that locker room is like. When I was released, I was okay. I had fuel behind me because I was ready to get out and get back to wrestling. The reason that I have shined in every single Royal Rumble is not because of me, it's because of the agents.
Do not attempt to walk straight or adjust your gait. This is LiMPiN AiNT, the only show where your favorite wrestling superstars share the obstacles they've had to overcome on their journey to get over. I am your handy captivating host with the most crooked spine on Eastern Standard Time. My name is Timmy Baltimore. All aboard! I want to thank you for hopping on the short bus and making LiMPiN AiNT a part of your entertainment week. Hey, if you haven't done so already, what are you waiting for? Click like, subscribe to this channel, comment on our content, hell, engage with our social media platforms, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever the hell's coming out next. I'm sure we'll be on that as well at the handle at Timmy Baltimore. Because we want to continue to bring you awesome content like the show we have today. Because it's a hell of a thing. We are bringing to you the most dynamic and entertaining current WWE superstar to grace our screens in a long time. I'm sorry, did I say current WWE superstar? Good, because I meant current WWE superstar. She burst onto the scene 2014 as a fine Canadian import, and now we must protect her at all costs because she has become an American treasure. We knew she was something special when we were introduced to the hot mess in TNA IMPACT WRESTLING. Then, all the way till she became the WWE's resident, may I speak with your general manager, until becoming the inaugural, first ever WWE Women's United States Champion, the head of state with her Secret Hervice and the Green Regime. But it wasn't all rainbows and easy sailing to the top, to where we see her today. No, in fact, she was plagued with some of the worst luck in recent memory. I'm talking some very serious injuries, two of which happened on two separate WWE programming debuts. Think about that. It's your big night. You're being introduced onto television in the biggest wrestling company in the world, the number one, the premier sports entertainment company. Your dreams are coming true. And you get injured. Right there on TV, twice. But just like the bones she broke, she healed, she mended, and she came back stronger than ever with the fury of 10 Karens wondering if you live in this neighborhood. You love her, you hate her, you love to hate her, but you damn sure are never going to forget her. Join me in welcoming the amazing, the unforgettable Chelsea Green. Welcome to LiMPiN AiNT. My name is Timmy Baltimore. I am joined by the eagle has landed. The eagle has landed. Everybody sit up straight, clear the room. The inaugural United States champion, WWE Superstar, the dynamic, the gripping Chelsea Green. Chelsea, welcome to LiMPiN AiNT.
Would you like to join my Secret Hervice? That was pretty good.
I would. Does it matter that I have a criminal record, or you can take care of that?
No, I'll look past it.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us. This program here, we really focus on the very real struggles that people go through on their way to wrestling immortality, and it's interesting because when things are going well, nobody really thinks about the struggle and the obstacles that you've had to go through to get where you are. But
Right.
Lord knows there was plenty. And I really think people have gravitated towards you. You jump off the screen. You're one of the more memorable, if not the most memorable, superstar on television these days. And it was not, you didn't just roll out of bed and become that.
I mean, that's so crazy that you're even saying that. It definitely is
It's
surreal
true.
because, like you said, I mean, show business is like that.
Yeah. And gotta love it when it's down, gotta love it when it's up. So Chelsea, if you could tell me a little bit about your introduction to the wrestling business and the initial obstacles and adversities you first encountered.
I think I came in with this view. I know a lot of women have this now because they watch Total Divas, but I came in right before Total Divas when it wasn't popular to say that you wanted to be a diva. And I came in honestly wanting to be a diva. The things that attracted me were the diva qualities in the women that I saw. I loved the outfits. I danced my whole life. Loved sparkle, loved makeup, loved dressing like a girly girl and any excuse to look like that. And that was my perception at the time of a diva. Obviously now looking back, I'm like, oh my god, those women, walked so we could run. Those women were so much more talented than I could have even thought at the time. But I was looking at the aesthetic moment. So then going from training at Lance Storm School to the Indies, there wasn't that many women that wanted to be a diva on the Indies. Like they wanted to prove themselves. They wanted to wrestle like men. They wanted to earn respect and all those things, but I wasn't in that fight at the time. I was so new, I was so young, I was so delusional. So I was put through the ringer for those first 2 years. I mean, at least the first 2 years, because I was going against what they all wanted, but I didn't even know it. Nobody was telling me that. Nobody was saying what you want is setting us back. Of course, I was privy to it after a couple of years of, oh shit, like I'm like, I don't need to fight for to look like a girl, and like I can do all that while fighting the fight of let's get more TV time, let's main event shows, let's just have this be supporting wrestling, not supporting women's wrestling. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I
let's
do.
just fight for the equality that is women in sports. And so I had a lot of shows where like they beat the shit out of me.
Right,
And now
right.
I get it. Now I
Yeah.
get it. I understand. Do I support that? No. Will I ever do that to my coworkers that are, coming up and just trying to figure out where they fit in? No. I'm obviously setting a new tone for the locker room, especially in WWE. But on the indies, maybe I needed to be kind of thrown around the ring a little bit to learn. So that was my first intro into wrestling where I did face a little bit of a speed bump, but like I feel like it just added to my story.
Absolutely. It's funny because when we go through those things, you get into wrestling, you think if you're a fan, and you're suddenly bewildered because you
Yeah.
don't know anything and you don't understand why people are mad at you. But it builds if you don't quit and you don't go away and you just tough it through. Look at you. You're proof that great things happen.
And
Period.
you learn, you just
Yeah.
as you go, you learn and those building blocks of all the stuff you go through, they add to your character, they add to your story. And a lot of times people are like, oh, what would you tell your younger self? Well, for me, it's really easy because it's like, I stepped into that Storm Wrestling Academy ring and all those indie rings in 2014, and I said, I'm going to be a WWE diva. And now the funny thing is, now that I am a WWE diva, it really wasn't about getting to WWE, and it wasn't about being a diva. Now what makes me unique is that I all those stories that led me to being on this incredible WWE roster of strong women who every single woman brings something different to the table. We're not all the same. We're not all cut from the same cloth. Everyone is unique in a really, really fun way. And it was the journey to get there, to get on this amazing women's roster that I think the fans appreciate from me. And I never thought I'd be saying that 11 years later.
Right. It's always funny to look back, and you kind of feel like youth is wasted on the young sometimes because but you're right. That's part of it. That's
Yeah.
part of it. And I I know your progression through the industry is so interesting because you talk about it took a minute to kind of get it for the light bulb to go off. But if you look at your at least national exposure, it seems like you and I mean this no showbiz bullshit here. This is you have a grip on character work and maximizing minutes from the hot mess to the your NXT run to being with Matt Cardona, your husband, in that dynamic and sort of the Elizabeth
Yes.
Randy Savage dynamic. Some of the greatest segments in independent wrestling history, I believe, in like the match made in heaven kind of parody deal. And then now with the green regime and head of state and sort of, for lack of a better term, like the Karen
Yes.
of WWE. Can you talk about when the light bulb went off for you as far as like, it's important to be somebody, whether I have a match or not, that people remember me for my character?
So, of course, I got into wrestling at 2014. I immediately wanted to learn all the moves. Lance Storm kept saying, the moves don't matter. I didn't care. The moves mattered to me. I was on the indies. I was, trying to do all these things that honestly my body was not meant to do. Like certain people, Tiffany Stratton, Sol Ruka, Io Sky, they are meant to do those things. They are meant to flip and leave their feet. Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, they are meant to pick people up. I was not so much, but it took me a while to get there. And you know, I really I really embraced kind of the girliness of myself for the first few years. And then when I was in TNA, I was being transitioned into this hot mess character, but we didn't know what it was going to be. And myself and Dutch filmed that first pre-tape where I sang the sun will come out tomorrow. I had just been left at the altar. He kept saying, smear your makeup more, be crazier, cry. And I'm like, like everything that I have ever known to be wrestling, the sexiness, the beauty, like this is not what I want to do. And I was single at the time. So
Oh,
I just kept thinking, nobody is ever going to date me. I am never going to find a man. Oh my gosh, it was so funny because obviously now hindsight, I'm like, Chelsea, you should have done this in 2014. However, I smeared the makeup. The tears were coming. I did the singing. I did everything that was going against what I thought beauty was. And my God, I owe
boom.
everything to Dutch for that
Yeah.
moment because that was really when that aired. We filmed it before Christmas, and I believe it aired after Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. Everything fell into place. My eyes were open after I became the hot mess, I realized that I didn't love the wrestling portion of wrestling. I loved the character work. I loved the backstories. I loved reading scripts and transforming them into the person that I wanted to be on screen. I loved the evolution of a character, the arc of a character, like everything that comes with basically film and TV and acting. But I didn't know that when I was getting into wrestling because I just was so focused on all these other little aspects of it. And, of course, now I look back and I think there's so many women who did this before me, but I do feel like I'm one of the first women to go on to the industry as like a hottie toddy and then change to like the ultimate nasty, disgusting, crazy woman that you really want to avoid when you go out for a night out with the boys. And that I now have taken and used as fuel for every other character since then. For Reclusa in Lucha Underground, for my NXT characters, for everything I pitched to Vince back in, pre-pandemic days. And then now when they told me I had to be a Karen going into the Royal Rumble, I said, say less. I'm
Got
on
it.
it. Now it's like, it's not about what moves I'm going to do. I never think about what moves I'm going to do. Those will come. We'll figure them out organically. But it's just about the package that I, Chelsea Green, can bring to TV to make the audience feel something. Hate, love, comical relief, a little bit of drama, whatever it is. And then, of course, now having Alba and Piper on my team, I love to do that with them too, brainstorming as a team and, sending them different like ideas and asking them to wear the suits. And all of it is so fun to me now because I understand it.
Yeah. It's because right when you see it, you know what it is. That's what makes a beautiful wrestling character and gimmick. You don't have to say a thing. We know. We see a picture of the three of you. We know how to feel. We know how to react.
That's what I want. It makes my life easier. When I walk out there, I want you to feel something, anything. Please just don't give me silence.
the ultimate, yeah, the deadly dead air. Yeah, it's
Yes.
anything but. Um,
Yes.
I know that you've always been a go-getter. You've always taken calculated risks. It seems from the outside looking in absolutely fearless. I mean, I remember from the hot mess character it takes to do the Charlize Theron in the movie Monster where she played Eileen Warnos, and it takes a lot to be beautiful and smear it up. Are you like Charlize?
No, I am because everyone asks me what my ideal character would be, and that's her.
Yeah, there it
That is
is.
her, the monster character, and like the way that she went from the most beautiful woman in the world to that character is like just cinematic gold.
Yep.
Thank you for saying that.
You got it, girl. But and I also remember like just there were times where you would be outside of Vince's office and take a picture. Like that takes guts. I've done that before too, and had Sarge walk by and Jerry Briscoe walk by, ribbing me, going, "You're not going in there, are you?" So, can you talk a little bit about the getting on WWE's radar and really knowing that you had to take those risks, put yourself out there?
You know what? I knew I had to take risks the minute that WWE called me to be an extra in 2014. I'll never forget um, John Cohn, who is head of TR, such an amazing guy. He was with the extras backstage in Abbotsford, and he was looking for someone to play Megan Miller. I didn't know what this Megan Miller character was going to be, but I heard him speaking to one of the extras, one of the girls, and saying, "Hey, we need someone to come to Portland, Oregon, and do this quick little segment. Can you do it?" And I heard the girl say she didn't have a passport.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I was like, pew. I went in there and I was like, hi, so sorry, was eavesdropping. I do have a passport. If you need someone, I'm there. I immediately was, in my car on the way to Portland, Oregon. That was the segment where I was, in the storyline with Stephanie McMahon, Brie Bella, Daniel Bryan, and that was the kickoff, or sorry, the go home show, the last show before that year's SummerSlam. It was
Wow.
huge, huge. And I mean, now it's such an iconic, not just an iconic segment, but an iconic feud with the first time that really the Bellas had turned against each other. Um, and to be a part of that is incredible. That was my first risk, was going and saying that I'm, a peeping Tom eavesdropper and
Yeah.
I want to take that spot. And then from there, I figured out a couple of WWE emails. I spammed everyone in WWE saying that I deserved a tryout. That was my next calculated risk. And from there on, I just feel like I I was like, I lost care. I just was like, I want this job. I want to get to WWE. I don't care what people think about me. I'm going to do it. I've already done the hardest part, which was stepping in the ring, telling my family and friends that I was going to be a wrestler, and, performing in front of 10 people in a tiny little venue in Vancouver where everyone, I'm sure, at my high school was watching on social media making fun of me. Like, I didn't care after that. The band-aid was ripped
Mhm.
off, and it's like, no, 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 I'm going to do this, and I want to do it now. And so I just continued to kind of take those risks in my career, and even if something didn't work out, it's like everything happens for a reason, and we just have to keep pushing through, and eventually when we look back we'll realize what the reason was.
Yeah. I love that. The figuring out the emails. You know what I used to do? I used to call them on holidays, the office, because everybody picks up on the holidays. So, little tricks of the trade,
I
huh?
love it. I mean, there's always, that's the thing, like, there's no excuse when someone's like, what should I do, what should, like, I don't know. Are you kidding me? This is the blind leading the blind when you're asking me for advice. I figured it out as I went along, day by day, as I got an idea in my head. I tried it. Like, just start. Just try. The worst that can happen is someone says no. Okay, keep asking. Cuz guess what? I had numerous WWE tryouts. Numerous. And the last tryout that I had, they said, why would we give you a tryout? We know what you can do. And I said, well, you don't know what I can do, because if you knew, you would hire me. And
Boom.
then they literally said, I love that answer. We're giving you your, a next tryout. That was like my fourth tryout.
You talked a little bit about the women that laid the groundwork. That you not only grew up, I don't want to say idolizing, but maybe you did. But certainly looking up to. Um, and then wrestling is such that once you get into the industry and you start to climb the ranks and make things happen, these people become your peers. Um, la-
Yes.
Last time you and I saw each other was at NWA Empower for Mickey James, who's obviously a legend, and on the LFG show on A&E. And man, she knew you were something special. We everybody did. Do you Can you talk a little bit about when you get that kind of feedback from somebody like a Mickey James or any of the other women in the industry who have been somewhat of a mentor to you? What that does for you, what that feels like, how
I
that
mean, I
affects you.
don't think there's anything better than getting positive feedback from not only your peers, but from people that you looked up to, people that you put on a pedestal, people that, have just been trailblazers in this industry. Mickey has been so supportive of me. When I tell you, she still last week she sent me ideas for pitches to suggest to the creative team. Like, she is such an empowering force for women in this industry. And that's why I think Empower really was such an incredible show. It was, I don't know that we can ever recreate such a beautiful moment. I mean, obviously I'm biased because I was the first person in the main event and the last person. So I got to stand there, in all that glory and holding up the support women's wrestling signs and holding up that trophy and being surrounded by the locker room. It was just a moment that it was one of the greatest moments in my career so far because it was just so special, and to have it led by all those women. I mean, Jazz was there. Gail Kim is always a part of this. Medusa, Alundra Blaze, um, Mickey James. Like, that's just, it's so special. And as I get older, and I'm in my mid 30s now, it's really cool to think that maybe I'm gonna be that for some of these girls. I love when the girls slide into my DMs and ask me questions and want feedback and just want to chat. Like, I want to be that positive force that Gail Kim and Mickey James have been in my life. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't have those women supporting me. I had Storm Wrestling Academy with Lance Storm, and I had Billy Gunn from Tough Enough, and they always pushed me to be my best, and they always believed in me. But there's something different about a woman supporting you because they know what that locker room is like. They know what the struggle is. They know that we're always fighting for just even like basic rights. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And
Yeah.
that's just how it is. I will never complain about that stuff because I do feel so lucky. And when I step into each arena to go to SmackDown, I feel like my boss treats me fairly. I'm very happy, but at the end of the day, we will always continue pushing and fighting to get the same things that the men get. And so they get it, Gail and Mickey, they get it. And if I ever have any sort of doubt in myself, they are there like, no, girl, you're
Yeah.
good. You are
Yeah.
so, so good. And so it's just, there's something special about the bond between the women. And that's why I say I always want to make sure that the girls who are coming up from NXT to, the main roster, or the girls who are on the indies trying to get to NXT, like, I want to be there to positively impact their life and make sure that they go in with the right attitude, the right mindset. They stay happy and humble and grounded, because I've had moments where I wasn't that way. I've had moments where I was entitled and I was grumpy, and it affected my relationship with my husband. I went home and I was miserable, and I kind of changed all of that during the pandemic. And everything since then that has come because I think I've stood there with open arms and just a grounded approach on, like, this industry. Like, this industry doesn't deserve, or doesn't, it's not going to give you anything. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you don't, I don't want to say you don't deserve things, but it's like, you got to work for things, and shit happens. But
Yeah.
as long as you work hard, good things will come your way.
Yeah. No doubt. You know that better than anyone. I think anybody that uh, watches Chelsea Green on TV now on SmackDown, and the general manager Nick Aldis's office giving him hell. That's a great relationship there.
I love it.
Enjoy, like, really needling at the old sport.
I love it. Honestly, with like the dynamic that I have with Adam Pierce and Nick Aldis are two of my favorite, like, buttons to push. It's so fun, and they're so good at playing it up, and I'm so lucky that they allow me to make them the butt of my jokes, and they also know that I can take it as well. Like, it's just so good.
It's yeah, it's a high point in the programming, and I think people see who you are now, see the character that you've become, the performer that you've become, and they don't, and it's not their job to, but they don't realize it. There was a lot of hell getting there, Chelsea. You've always had a great attitude. Outwardly, you've always seemed to have eye on the prize, but it was heartbreaking for people who were in your corner, who kind of know your value, the some of the bad breaks that came along your way. And no pun intended, that's not meant to be funny or anything. Like, like seriously, like there were injuries, there were setbacks.
Yeah.
Can you talk about when that was happening, your darkest moment, and where that took you mentally?
So a lot of people don't realize, like, I had quite a few injuries before I even got to that point. So I had broken my nose and cheekbones in training. That was fine. My like it that sounds worse than it is. And then I went to India and worked for Kali, and I broke my collarbone on live TV in India in front of
In India,
in
that's
India in front
terrifying.
of about 80,000 people. The crowd was like a
Oh my
WrestleMania
God.
crowd. And I just kept wrestling. It was horrific, disgusting. I ended up getting surgery in India. The surgeons were amazing. The surgery was amazing. You can barely tell, even by the scar on me, that I even broke my collarbone. So I had already dealt with those kind of like ups and downs in wrestling. But obviously, the first break, my broken arm in WWE, was on live TV at Full Sail during an NXT show. And I would say out of the 3 broken arms that I had in WWE, that was the hardest, my first
Yeah.
one. A lot of people think it was the second one on live television for my SmackDown debut, because I understand the stakes seem higher to the outside world, to the internet. But for me, the hardest one was that first one, because that was my first match for NXT at Full Sail. Like, that was about to skyrocket me in my mind. That was going to show everyone that, I can work, I can do this, I can be on TV. And it immediately took me off TV for 6 to 9 weeks. And
Yeah.
at that point, NXT was moving so fast that out of sight, out of mind. Like, I was immediately put to the back of the line. I was not put to, oh, she's going to make this triumphant return, because I had no skin in the game. So
Yeah.
that one really, really hurt me. And I really, I mean, I don't cry often. I'm not an emotional person. That one really kind of like tore me apart. And I'm sure it was really tough for Matt to have to deal with me at that time too, because I was already in such a terrible place in NXT with my mindset. I was already so negative and just like I said, very entitled. I thought I should have been on TV immediately because I had been the TNA champion, and I had come in with, you know, thinking that I having like a high. I thought I was up here, and
Hmm.
now looking back at it, I'm like, oh my God, you're so nuts. But so that one was really tough. Then I came back, but I was called up to the main roster, and I was kind of, put in an amazing spot where I was going to qualify in a triple threat to go to Survivor Series. One of my first matches on the main roster would have been at Survivor Series. That's so, nobody can ask for a better
Yeah.
start on the main roster when you really haven't had anything done at NXT to push you. But they saw something, Paul Heyman saw something in me on the main roster, and I'll forever be grateful for that. And within the first, minute and a half of that match, my arm snapped.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that at the time I got a lot of flack on the internet saying, like, I'm injury prone. What they
Ha!
don't understand, yeah, and they love to
Because
say
they
that.
know.
The internet loves to say that. That
Hmm.
is such a cop out. Okay? I don't have brittle bone syndrome. I don't have autoimmune disorders. I'm a very healthy, at the time, like 28-year-old, 29-year-old girl. I'm good. What had happened was I had never taken the plate out of my arm.
Mm,
And anyone who has a plate in their body knows that the point right above that plate is the most susceptible to breaks.
yeah.
That is what's going to happen when you're in a contact sport. You have got to get metal out of your body if it's somewhere like that. So unfortunately, my arm broke right above the plate at that point, and the surgeon's like, "Yeah, that's what happens. You never came back to get it out." I didn't know.
I
I
didn't get the
didn't
memo.
know. So that was tough, but at that point I had been through the worst. You know, I was
Mhm.
getting paid. I was on the main roster. I felt like it's all good. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna get another chance, but I didn't. I didn't get another chance, and that, luckily, because I didn't kind of spiral into a dark place in that time. When I was released, I was okay. I had fuel behind me because I was ready to get out and get back to wrestling and like show the world what they missed out on, whether it was at WWE or not. Unfortunately, it wasn't at WWE, but here we are now.
Here we are now, and you've made yourself indisposable. Any like you're a character. You could lose your legs tomorrow and be on television because of how you've connected with the audience. I, I want to ask you about, because that's really dark in the sense of, I can't, like, that's is pretty bad luck, it seems like. And to because it seems like the you're on this you can't get much higher
Yeah.
than that, and then immediate, like, the rug literally pulled from under you. I had your husband Matt Cardona on here a few months ago, and um, he talked about a period in time when he was miserable,
Yep.
when it was just eating him alive. He wasn't on TV. He thought his career was over, and he says, and he goes, I'm not an optimistic, like, glass half full type of guy, but something switched in me
Yeah.
where I go, it's not helping me. It's not getting me where I want my spot. It's doing nothing. I have to change my thinking. I have to reframe it. Was that something you two went through mutually together? Did you help each other with that, or was it individual, or different times? Do you remember?
That's such a good question because when you're talking about that, I remember that time because I was going through it in NXT when he was on the main roster going through it. But he never led me to believe that's the way he felt because I think he was so busy also trying to help me pull me out of my misery and my dark hole. And we were just we were so like in love that when we went home, we tried to like not
Hmm.
bring like the darkness, even though it follows you. But I would say, you know, he got out of it first, and that was definitely by him being released. Like he really, really, truly switched. Like it was like a light switch. He would have never quit WWE ever. That was his dream from the minute he came out of the womb. He wanted to be a WWE superstar. That's why I love him so much. I think it's an amazing thing to like, know what you want to do your whole life and do it. And and want to keep doing it and keep bringing joy to people's lives in this art form. I think it's amazing. But I then realized once I saw that shift in him and then a year later I was released, I was like, what is there to be sad or angry about? What is there to be dark about? Like, what an amazing life we have. I've never had to sit at a desk job
Yeah.
ever. Like, I have a hot husband and we get to travel the world together. We get to buy as many dogs and cats as we want. We've got, the sun is shining in Florida down on us. Like, why am I miserable? He's not miserable. He changed his tune. So it took a little bit longer for me to come out of it, but seeing him happy and thriving and changing his attitude definitely helped me. It's hard to be miserable when your partner's happy.
Yeah.
And that's
Because
that's that's amazing. And I'm
yeah.
very grateful for that, but I never thought about it really until we started talking about it right now. And I'm sure there's so many different aspects of it and we kind of had ups and downs, and we still go through that. But it definitely helps to have that attitude of like, there's only certain things that you can control. And Matt always says that this, and it's, the way you look, the presentation that you bring to the ring, and your attitude. And
Yeah.
we stick by that now. It's our little, family motto. And maybe we don't even know it's a family motto, but it is now because I'm saying it.
Out loud. Yeah. It's paying off. I mean, there's couples in wrestling that you just look at them and they're firing on all cylinders. And even in two different orbits in the industry. And it's so cool, I think, to see that, because wrestling and showbiz is so damn hard. And
And
it's so
you know
ugly
what
and
I really
unforgiving.
love? I'll never forget years ago when we first started dating in 2017. Um, Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, an interpromotional couple." Oh my, someone in TNA with somebody in WWE, like unheard of. And now I see it everywhere and I love it.
Right.
I
Yeah.
love it. And I think it's amazing. And like we all bring different things to the table. And like it's just, yeah, it's so funny to think about that. It's so like old school thinking now.
Right. People that where did these two meet? They're like,
How could their lives ever cross paths?
are they gonna get heat? Like they don't realize we're all, if we don't know each other, we're one person removed.
We are
That's it.
all friends. We all support each other. We all like each other. We all see each other like on the weekends. It's like this is not some, you know,
Yeah,
this is not some Shakespearean story.
right, right. The to see it return and to WWE after that, just for lack of a better term, mountain of shit you went through, and and to tuck your chin and barrel through. It almost feels like, in looking at your story again from the outside looking in, that you you knew you were going to go back in a way, like you had made up your mind,
Mhm.
and there was hell or high water, it would take an army to stop you. um is that how you felt at the time when you were pushing through?
Definitely. I mean, when I got the call that I was released, I think I pouted for about 30 seconds. And then I wrote down a list of all the places that I didn't get to work on the indies before. And I called them all. And I got out of my contract early with WWE. I begged talent relations to forgo my pay so I could get on the indies 2 weeks earlier than anyone else.
So smart.
Um, like there were certain things that I knew I just knew how to work the indies, and that was a positive for. I'm so thankful that I had that experience beforehand. So they, they stopped my pay 2 weeks early. I got out onto the indies. I surprised everyone at Ring of Honor, somewhere that I hadn't been able to go. I went to Ring of Honor. I went to NWA. I went to all the promotions, did them all at once, and I knew that that was going to get me back to WWE. Or I hoped. I
Mhm.
delusionally knew, but it worked out. So
Yeah,
I knew,
you knew.
and I just wanted to make myself like the person that everyone spoke about, no matter where I was. I mean, I remember one day in those 2 years, one day I was on NWA, Ring of Honor, and TNA all on the same night, like a time
Ah,
traveler. And that's something I'll never forget because, I might never have that experience ever again. But that was the goal, to be seen everywhere. Like, I don't care if you love me or hate me, you're going to see me every single corner that you turn. Um, and it was never a case of am I going to come back? It was when I'm going to come back. And I think, my husband hopes the same thing for himself. It doesn't always work out that way. I do feel very blessed that Triple H answered my text, that he invited me back, that he has given me so much creative freedom, or this talk with you could look a lot different.
right. It could. I mean, you said the people, whether they love you or hate you, I think they've come to love to hate you. And that's a beautiful thing because that once when you hook them and make them feel something strong, it's real easy to flip it. There's a thin line between love and hate.
Oh, there
And
really is, and haven't we learned that?
yes, and I think one of the coming out parties for you in WWE, you had you stole the show at the 2024 Royal Rumble.
Thank you.
I gotta imagine you sat there and go, "This is my night. I may not be winning this thing, but they damn sure are gonna remember me."
You know what? The funny thing is that I am Royal Rumble makes me the most nervous out of anything in the entire world. I don't want to say I don't like it because as a fan, I love it. Being in it, I can't stand it. The reason being is that I'm just not one of those girls. I'm so competitive in like outdoor activities, but in wrestling, I'm just not that way. I've learned that everyone is so different. There's no point in being competitive with your coworkers. Like, we're family, and I would never be competitive with my sister for an amazing opportunity. So why would I want to step on someone to get an opportunity in WWE? But
Wow.
but you get into the Royal Rumble, and it's like it's a literal competition with all your family. Like, you are all in there trying to outperform the rest, and I just like do not perform well under those pressures. The reason that I have shined in every single Royal Rumble is not because of me, it's because of the agents. The agents have so much fun coming up with my spots because they're not thinking about the moves. We have so many moves in the Royal Rumble that the girls are doing. They're all incredible. Like I said, I can't compete with the strength or the agility of these women. I just can't. But what I can do is bring the comedy, is bring the ridiculousness, is bring a storyline to something that doesn't always have a storyline to it, you know?
The
And
moments.
yeah, the moments, and when I go out there, I don't know what's going to be a moment. It could be a flop, or it could be the most hilarious thing in the world. I didn't know this Royal Rumble, 2025, when I stood amongst four of the strongest black women in the women's division, that would be a moment. I didn't even think about it. I thought it was going to be hilarious, but it was also empowering,
Yeah.
and like, it was just so fun to watch the feedback from that one little moment that I was going to take for granted. So, I give all the praise in the world to Ken Doan, to Petey, the inventor of the Canadian Destroyer, and of TJ, of Shane Helms, of Jason Jordan. Like, I mean, they have literally done miracles for my career within those Royal Rumbles.
Yeah. You give people a lot to work with, so it's fun, uh and not only the Rumble and those performances that are so memorable, but you're getting your just dues in the sense that you've earned these moments, like making history of becoming the first women's United States champion. What did that moment mean to you? In the sense that this is something that hadn't even entered the lexicon a year ago?
I mean, I also just I I downplay my goals for WWE. I always think about what I want outside of WWE because I tell myself, like, again, there's only so many things you can control, and if I'm not a chosen one that is in the title picture, that's okay. That is okay. I'm gonna find satisfaction in other aspects of this industry, which is why I love, the acting side of it. But when I realized that there was potential for me to be in the running for that title, it was like all these new dreams and goals kept popping up in my head. Like, I couldn't sleep at night thinking about it and thinking about the stories I could tell, and the way that I could get there and what I would do after. And it was just a dream come true. And then also on top of that, like, on the grander side of things, is like, I'm making history for women in sports, just like
Hmm.
the women have done this year and last year in the WNBA and in soccer. Like we've seen them fill stadiums up. Alona has done it with rugby. Like, you know, there is a chance for us to reinvigorate women in sports, and this is another moment for that. And I do feel like taking myself, someone who may be just a cookie cutter pretty white girl, and making me like ugly
Yeah.
or annoying or whatever it is, like that's just another kind of glass ceiling that we can shatter as
Yeah.
women. So I'm so happy to be a part of this movement that we've had over the past couple years, and then hopefully people consider me a part of the movement that started in 2014 that led us here, you know, like
Yeah.
that the give divas a chance moment, you know, Emma and Paige and all those women, Bailey and Sasha, like they fought so hard to get us here as well in that 2014 era. And so I just want to I want to do those women justice, and then of course the women in the 90s, the 80s, the early 2000s as well.
You have WWE's PLE June 7th, Money in the Bank, and unfortunately did not qualify, but there still may be a chance. Um, and I know you hope to go forward in that and make history and continue on this absolute tear that you've been on in WWE and connecting with the audience and being so memorable, jumping off the screen. Um, can you, with everything you've been through, with the journey that you've had to endure and the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, can you give any advice to anybody out in the world who, you know, everybody's got a story, not everybody has a voice, you do, who may be going through a situation where they get to the finish line, the rug's pulled out, to keep the faith, to keep pushing forward?
I think it just goes back to what I said at the very beginning, which is trust that, you know, I know it's so hard in that moment, and it feels like you are at the stop sign and there's nowhere to go. You've hit a dead end or you've hit the biggest road bump in the world. But if you just keep pushing through all those road bumps, all those detours, all those twists and turns that you took on the road to success, whatever success looks like to you, that's what makes you special. That's your story. That's what's going to build, you know, if we're talking about wrestling, that's what's going to build your literal in-ring character. If we're talking about just life, like that's what's going to be build your soul and your literal character, you know? And when you get to, you know, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, like trust me, you're not going to talk about like, oh my God, all these successes I had, all the medals I won, all that. No, you're going to talk about the struggle that it took to get there and all the things that you had to do along the way to make sure that you succeeded. And that's kind of the beauty of life. And obviously that's so easy for me to say now because I'm there. I'm at that point where I'm so happy with, you know, my life and work. And I love what I do for a living, and I love where I'm at personally and professionally. So it is kind of a little bit cliche for me to say, but I was there. I had those dark moments. I had those speed bumps and what felt like moments that were going to halt my career forever. But, you know, your mind is so strong, and if you just keep telling yourself every day, like push through, go to the gym, eat healthy, take care of yourself, do whatever makes you happy, read those, you know, books or listen to those podcasts, like you will get through. I've worked a million jobs to go and wrestle in front of 20 people and make $20 and not be able to fill up my car and have to walk home from those wrestling shows with my gear bag instead of, you know, driving. Like I've been there. It There is a way out. There's
Yeah,
always a way out. You just have to be persistent enough to find your way out.
that's beautiful. That's and you know, it may seem strange to say it because you are in a position of success, but I think that there's the proof that it works,
Yeah.
that the dark times are there to forge you into who you're
Yes.
going to be. And Lord knows, Chelsea, you've been through it and you're true to it. And now it's like you're reaping the rewards of not giving up on yourself. And it's a beautiful thing. And I in closing, just want to see if you have anything, any closing words with June 7th, again, Money in the Bank coming up in Inglewood always up to no good. And what your goals are moving forward in WWE in the immediate and distant future.
Well, right now in WWE, I'm in mourning. I've lost my championship. I hope to regain that and run for a second term as your first ever, longest reigning, most beautiful, dangerous United States Women's Champion. We're gonna start that tonight. I'm heading off to SmackDown tonight. But I guess all I have to say is like for everyone who's been on this journey with me, I'm so thankful. Hey, I've had some love, I've had some hate. I'm just thankful that people are watching me. That's all I care about. People are watching me. They're talking about me. They're cheering or booing when I make my entrance, and I will forever be thankful for wrestling fans for that because they've made my dreams come true. So thank you for having me on and chatting with me.
Oh man, it's been a real pleasure. The best is yet to come. Thank you so much to WWE Superstar, the inaugural WWE Women's United States Champion, the head of state herself, the magnanimous Miss Chelsea Green. Thank you for being on LiMPiN AiNT Easy.
Thank you.
Okay, she's in another room. There we go.
Ooh, okay, that looks good.
That's
Is
great.
that better?
Oh, that's so much better.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
well that's crazy because I really didn't do anything.
See?
Turn it off, turn it on. That's the trick.
We don't know what we don't know, right?